NXT was pretty okay. So we're building towards Heat Wave in a few weeks. And we're also building towards another big show in Philadelphia, which is pretty cool. It's going to be like 2 weeks before Heat Wave. But NXT was pretty okay. There was some stuff on the show I didn't like, but all in all, it was still okay nonetheless. Way better than anything on the main roster. So, there is that. So, we're going to get into NXT from August the 5th, 2025. We kicked the show off with the first match of the night. Mariah May loses to Kalani Jordan via countout. So this match didn't even last, but maybe 2-3 minutes. Because Jordan Grace, she stepped out of her, SUV or whatever. And then Jordan Grace showed up towards the end of the match anyway. And she chased Mariah May, and Mariah May gotten her whip and dipped out, and then Kalani wins via a 10 count. So that's pretty cool there. Very creative finish. I do like that. Okay, good stuff. Moving on. This leads us into Chase U. So Mr. Chase, he checks in on Kel Dixon and Uriah Connors ahead of their NXT tag team title opportunity. So they're freaking out. So Dixon wants Mr. Chase to be brutally honest about their chances tonight. Andre Chase says that there's 1 in a million chance. And then Dixon, he responds with you're saying there's a chance, anything's possible. And so then that fires them up. So it's kind of funny there. It was okay. Then Hank and Tank, they retain their NXT Tag Team Championships. They defeat Chase U. They allowed for Chase U to get some offense in, which was okay. So I do like this a little bit. Vic Joseph was praising both Uriah Connors and Kel Dixon in this match. Ultimately, they lose. And then post-match, Darkstate, they show up and they beat the shit out of Chase U and Hank and Tank. Okay, whatever. So rinse and repeat. I'm not a fan of Darkstate, as you guys should know. Darkstate is not good. They've been around for, 4 or 5 months now, and they haven't done jack shit. Moving on. So, Fatal Influence, they're in the back. JC Jane said that last week didn't go as planned. Lash got taken care of, but Jada Parker, she's still coming after them. So Fallon Henley then reminds JC that Masha and Ash by Elegance are coming after her as well. So George Iceman from TNA, he shows up. He's the personal concierge. He's here to deliver a message to JC Jane and to polish her championships. Ash by Elegance would like to let JC Jane know that this week will be her final week as the TNA Knockouts champion. And then Lainey Reed asked if that was Jasmine Nick's job to polish her championships. And then JC Jane tells Jasmine to make her title real shiny. So that was pretty funny there. Moving on. So Tavion Heights, he catches up with Miles Bourne. The two of them, they reminisce and dap up about being set free from the NQCC. So it's time for him to make an impact now. And then Tavion has his eyes locked on something. In the meantime, Tavion wants Miles to handle the hater Lexus King. Cool stuff there. I do like this. I like the fact that they are trying to push Tavion Heights. Miles Bourne needs some work, but he'll get there in due time. Moving on. So Izzy Dame, she's backstage with Tatum Paxley. She believes that... Izzy tells Tatum Paxley that she believes in her. If Tatum becomes the NXT Women's Champion tonight, she'll no longer have to worry about fitting in with anyone ever again because she'll be in the history books. This is her moment. Tatum says that she's going to make Izzy proud. All right. That is fine there. Does that happen? Hell no, it doesn't. Moving on, so Thea Hill has a vignette. She's in a coffee shop drinking some coffee, and she starts talking shit about Nia Jax, which is pretty funny. I'm surprised Nia didn't show up and attack Thea Hill, but it is what it is. Moving on, Miles Borden defeats Lexis King. Lexis King is basically a lost cause. He's been on NXT television for about a little over a year, and he really hasn't done much of anything, if we're being honest. He's another guy who's just really there just to kind of eat pins. And I do like Lexis King. He's got a pretty decent character. It's just they really won't push him, so whatever. But Miles Borden gets the win via the Born Again, so that's fine, I guess. Moving on, so more Darkstate. So they admit that they were the ones who attacked Hank and Tank a few weeks back. And they have their eyes firmly set on the NXT Tag Team Championships. I don't care about this. Moving on, Nia Jax defeats Thea Hill. She wins via the Annihilator. And then Nia gets on the mic. And she says that Lash Legend imposed on her. My bad. Nia Jax says that Lash Legend cost her match last week. Nia Jax says that she imposed her will because when she steps in the ring, it's hers. Nia Jax says that Lash is not going to make a name off her back. She's a former champion. She's beaten champions, legends, Hall of Famers. What has Lash done? And then her and Lash and Nia, they get into a brawl, basically. Both of them get into a massive brawl. So that's fine, I guess. I thought they were going to have their match at Heat Wave, but hell no, they're not. It's going to actually be next week, which is kind of weird to me. But maybe we might do like a fuck finish. Maybe that would allow both of them to be at Heat Wave. I don't see Nia Jax losing, nor do I see Lash Legend losing. So it's going to be some type of fuck finish, probably a double counter or something like that or whatever, something. But this match should really kind of take place at Heat Wave. You got 4 weeks to build it, so let's see what they can come up with. Usually Shawn Michaels does good work. Moving on. So Jordynne Grace is backstage. She's talking to Ava in her office. Ava says that she wasn't going to yell at Jordynne Grace, but she wants to talk about NXT Heatwave. Jordynne says that she's still wearing her neck brace, as we can clearly see. She says she's going to be cleared. Ava then informs Jordynne that she's going to face Mariah May at Heatwave. And then Ava knows that she can't be biased, but on behalf of the entire women's locker room, she hopes Jordynne kicks Mariah May's ass, and Jordynne tells Ava that she can count on it. Okay, that's fine. At least they're making a few matches for Heatwave. I do like that. So hopefully Heatwave can be an interesting show. It would be their final show of the summer for them, basically. So we'll have to wait and see how everything plays out. Moving on. So Femi comes out. He gets a really good reaction. He puts over how he destroyed Josh Briggs and Inamura last week. He said that he's been champion for over 200 days. He's carried the NXT championship. He's carried this brand. He says no one can step to him. He says NXT is supposed to be the brand built for the future. Superstars of tomorrow, slotting into main event PLEs like SummerSlam and Royal Rumble. He says the future is not looking very bright in this division because he beat them all, he stumped them all, and he destroyed them all. Because the name changes, but the results remain the same. So Trick Williams shows up. He says that he's the big dog in NXT. He runs it because he's the biggest thing he's the biggest dog that NXT has to offer. So Oba and Trick they jaw jack some more, and Trick says it's time for him to start carrying two brands. So, Trick then continued to put himself over. He said that he's a self-made superstar, and he made himself him. He says that he's the only one who could take Oba off that mountaintop, off the mountain. So Jevon Evans shows up. He starts to, talk shit to Trick Williams, which was kind of funny. He says that Trick Williams can barely defend the TNA World Championship, which is funny. So how's he going to be able to hold down two brands? So everyone continues to jaw jack and forth. So then Jevon wants to face Trick Williams tonight, but Trick's like, nah, not tonight. Let's just do it in Philly. And then he makes fun of the crowd in attendance. Then Moose comes out from TNA, and he says that he's going to be the one to take out Trick at TNA Emergence. He's going to be the only one who's going to whoop that Trick. And then he tells Oba that he's coming after him. He didn't forget about Roadblock. And then Darkstate show up, and they beat up Trick, Oba, and Jevon and Moose. But then it backfired because all of them were able to get the jump on them. They were able to return fire. So that's cool there. This makes perfect sense. I like the fact that we are getting a one-on-one match. Jevon Evans versus Trick Williams. Obviously, Jevon is going to win. I would love for Jevon to be the one to dethrone Oba Femi. If Trick was still a babyface, then I would be advocating for Trick to do it. But Jevon, he needs this. If they're gonna go all in with Jevon, then they need to do it at Heatwave. Jevon needs to be the one to dethrone Oba Femi, because Mike Santana is gonna be the one to dethrone Trick Williams, and that should be fun there. So good shit there. Moving on. This leads us into Ariana Grace. So she's checking up on Stacks, and yes, the two of them are together in real life. They are a couple, which is great. They're about to get married, so they're both engaged. So kudos to them. And then all of a sudden, Nia and Lash, they brawl again. So there is that. Then this leads us into Ren Sinclair. She's trying to boost Charlie Dempsey's spirits. Ren suggests that Joe Hendry would be the right person to give Dempsey some motivation. So Ren then sings Joe Hendry's theme song, and he shows up from a refrigerator, which is hilarious. I was like, this shit is hilarious. So Joe Hendry is happy to be back on NXT. So Dempsey is completely miserable. And he says that the last thing NXT needs right now is Joe Hendry. So Dempsey refuses to wear Joe Hendry's outfit. Charlie Dempsey pokes fun at Joe Hendry for always striving to go viral. And then Charlie calls Joe Hendry a virus. Ren says that the only thing that cheers up Dempsey is wrestling. And then Joe Hendry then proceeds to challenge Charlie Dempsey to a match next week. And then Ren Sinclair accepts the match on behalf of Charlie. And then Ren takes a selfie with Joe Hendry, which was kind of funny. So, really funny segment there. Moving on. So, good stuff. Stacks defeats Inamura with the help of Ariana Grace. So, she shows up, gets to the face of Inamura, slaps him. And then this allowed for Stacks to roll up. No, my bad. Josh Briggs showed up, and he hits Inamura with the big boot, and then Stacks pins Inamura off that. So they're doing this lame ass Inamura and Josh Briggs feud. That's lame as fuck. Just dumb. Moving on, this leads us into more Fatal Influence stuff. So they poke fun at Kalani Jordan for only beating Mariah May via countouts. Kalani calls Fatal Influence the most dysfunctional tag team in the locker room. Jasmine Nix gives JC Jane her newly polished championships back. Jasmine tells Kalani and Lola Vice that they have no right to be stepping up to the leader of the women's division, and her sidekick Fallon Henley. And then Jasmine says that she had a conversation with Ava earlier on, and Fatal Influence is going to have a tag team match next week. Okay, that's fine. So good stuff there. They're still continuing the breakup of Fatal Influence, and I do like that. So good stuff. Moving on. This leads us into Zarya and Soruka. So they're backstage. Zarya tells Soruka that she has her back in the main event. And then there's a brawl that continues between Lash Legend and Nia Jackson, and Ava just makes the match for next week. So there's that. Moving on. So Ethan Page, he shows up, gets a pretty decent reaction. He says that he's been champion for 70 days. And then he gloats about being champion, how he beat Santino Marella and all that. And he makes fun of him. Then he proceeds to sing the Canadian national anthem. So Tavion Heights shows up and gets a really good reaction. And then he has some words for Ethan Page. He says that he likes the fact that he reps his country. He has too, because he represented Team USA in the Olympic Games. He said that Ethan Page is acting like he's on some sort of pedestal. In reality, he just needs to be knocked off that maple leaf sucking perch that you're standing on, which is funny. He says that he's a weapon in human form, and then he said he just broke out of the NQCC. So then Ethan Page continues to make fun of Tavion Heights some more, and then Chelsea Green, she shows up, gets a massive fucking reaction, which is great. And then this allows for, Chelsea's just making fun of Tavion and making fun of his name and everything else, and how she supports Ethan Page being her, her fellow, being a part of her fellow countrymen. She said that she's a proud Canadian. She put over the fact that she is the most dangerous United States Women's Champion, which is great. And she just continues to talk shit to Tavion. So she knows that Tavion won't hit her, and then Tavion then punches Ethan Page, which was cool. And then Tavion promises that he'll find a woman who will fight Chelsea. So that's cool. It seems like it's going to probably be, I'd imagine maybe Zelina Vega, maybe. I don't know. He'll find somebody. So I'm interested in that. Good stuff there. Moving on. So Jevon Evans, Moose, and Oba Femi and Trick Williams, they're all arguing in Ava's office. Moose says that Trick Williams doesn't want that smoke. Ava says that Jevon is going to fight Trick in Philadelphia. The winner of that is going to face Oba at Heat Wave. And then Jevon wants to know why does he have to wait next week. Then they don't have to wait because it's going to be an 8-man tag. The 4 of them versus Darkstate. And then Hank and Tank, they show up. And they said that they want a piece of Darkstate. Ava says that the 2 of them are going to put their tag team titles on the line at Heat Wave against 2 members of Darkstate. So there is that. Moving on, this leads us into Ricky Saints. He has a vignette. He says that he's going to be having a rematch with Jasper Troy in 2 weeks in Philadelphia. And he has his eyes on becoming NXT champion. And I do like that. So good shit there. Moving on, this leads us into the main event of the evening. Soruka defeats Tatum Paxley to retain her NXT Women's North American Championship. Nia Jackson, Last Legend, they show up in the match. They brawl towards the end of it. It's a bunch of distraction. This allows for So Ruka hit the slow snatcher on Paxley for the 1, 2, 3, and that was it. So NXT for the most part was okay. Kind of goofy with some segments, but it does make sense. It seems like I said, they're setting up for a bigger show in Philly. They're still building towards Heat Wave, so we got about a good 3 weeks until Heat Wave starts. So that's good. That's at the end of the month. Well, actually, that's the day before my birthday, which is cool, on the 24th of August. So cool stuff there. I'm hoping that Jevon Evans is the one that dethrones Femi. So that very well could be the case. But NXT was okay for the most part. We're also continuing the Jordan Grace Mariah May feud. I do like that. So there was a few good things on here, but for the most part, it was okay at best. But what did you guys think of NXT? Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.